Well, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jamie Haverl. I'm with the Iowa Healthy Estate Initiative and are thrilled to have all of you joining us today for the Make It Okay webinar. We're very thankful to be partnering with Make It Okay Linn County on bringing this webinar to all of you today. So just a couple of housekeeping items before we get started and a couple of comments that I'll make as well. So all of your microphones should be muted. Just make sure that you mute those so we don't have any of that background noise. There's a couple of ways that you can set up Zoom. We do have slides for this session, and so you can set up so you just see the speaker, or you can see a number of people on their video cameras. So that's up in your right hand part of your screen. You can click on gallery. If you have questions, we encourage you to use the chat function. Carol, our moderator, and the speakers will be monitoring that throughout the session, and hopefully there'll be some time at the end as well for you to ask any additional questions. Also, we are recording today's session and we'll make that available afterwards on the Healthy Estate website, and everyone will be receiving an email as a follow-up with a link to that. So just a little information about Make It Okay. Make It Okay is a statewide campaign that is housed under the Iowa Healthy Estate Initiative. So we're very fortunate to be partnering with different organizations across the state, especially our partners in the Cedar Rapids Linn County area, for making this possible and helping spread the information around reducing the stigma of mental illness. Also, I have to make a plug because today is the 10th annual Healthy Estate Walk. And so it's a beautiful day out there. We know it's great for our mental health to get physical activity. So I encourage you to get outside for a 30-minute walk today and help support and celebrate the 10th annual walk with our team Up for 10. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to our moderator today, Carol, and we'll kick this off. So thanks for joining us.
Excellent. Thank you, Jamie. I'm Carol Mead, and I'm the Director of Behavioral Health Services here at St. Luke's in Cedar Rapids, and I'd like to welcome all of you to our Make It Okay midweek session. I'm calling it 1.2. This week is a special session designed specifically for mental health professionals, and I just want to commend you and thank all of you for taking time out of your busy day to take a little time for yourself, because that's what this is all about, taking time for yourself and making sure that you are doing what you need to do for you so that you can get out there and take care of other people. I want to thank you all for the work that you have always done, but especially what you've done for our community and the communities that you live in during these challenging times of 2020. There we go. I also want to take just a second to thank our sponsors who are the sponsors of Make It Okay Iowa, the Healthy Estate Initiative, Delta Dental, Mid-Iowa Health Foundation, United Way, Polk County, Unity Point Health Partners, and Mercy One. Just briefly, Make It Okay is a campaign to reduce the stigma by increasing understanding and creating caring conversations about mental illness. I know that this is all something that you know because this is the world you live in and the work that you do, but I also know that as a mental health professional, sometimes we don't take the time to do that for ourselves. I would welcome you to go to the makeitokay.org/Iowa website and take the pledge to make it okay. It's very simple to do. And once you get to that website, you'll find lots of other opportunities that and information that you'd be able to use in your work. Also, just wanted to quickly tell you about a few ways that you can engage in the Make It Okay campaign. You can request a speaker. There's many ambassadors, Make It Okay ambassadors in our community. We've had several trainings and there's more that are coming up. So you can also become an ambassador, and you can go to the website and register your workplace, which would give you a toolkit of how you can spread the word within your agency. Just a reminder of future Make It Okay midweek series sessions that we'll be having. Session 2 is Stop the Silence, Stop the Stigma, and that's on October 28th from noon to 1. And session 3 will be November 18th, also 12 to 1, focusing on medical and spiritual first aid. The first session that we did is on the website. Like Jamie said, you should be able to go to the website and view that first session. Just wanted to cover a few of the efforts that we've done here in Linn County to make it okay. We've trained over 60 ambassadors, and we've provided presentations throughout the community and are happy to do more of those, so please reach out to us. We did some sessions on mental health and COVID in June. We're working on posters for schools and employers for It's Okay Not to Be Okay. Today's session, Caring for the Mental Health Provider, and we're working towards a larger community Make It Okay kickoff event in January, so be watching for that. And then we want to continue to support employers, agencies, schools, and so we have a subgroup that's focusing on K through 12 and colleges to spread the word in those places. And we're really focusing a little bit more recently in the last few months on better understanding mental health disparities, particularly with race. As you all know, sometimes hitting on some of these topics can stir up a few emotions in ourselves. And so I want to remind you all of the resources that I'm sure you often share with the people that you work with, but it's always important for us to remember that they're available for ourselves. And I know that Jamie has also put them in the chat box. So if at any point you feel like you need to reach out for assistance, people are standing by to help you. And without further ado, whoops. Sorry, I forgot there was one more slide yet. There's statewide resources that are, I want to highlight. Be sure to go to the Make It Okay website. Lots and lots of information there that's really helpful. The COVID Recovery Iowa has other free counseling and virtual sessions that you can jump on. Your Life Iowa is always an amazing website to go to. And then these podcasts, I personally subscribe to the Hilarious World of Depression. So if you haven't checked that one out, I would definitely encourage you to do that. Now, without further ado, I would like to introduce our speakers. First, Christy Aquino. Christy is a licensed independent social worker. She holds a Master's of Social Work degree from the University of Northern Iowa and a Master of Education from Northern Arizona University. Christy has worked in a variety of nonprofit settings and enjoys influencing a system that can address transitions and resiliency. She has experience in working with children, adults, couples, and families. She's currently the Employee Assistance Coordinator at Unity Point St. Luke's Hospital, and she's also a member of our eating disorder team here. Christy's been instrumental in supporting the frontline healthcare providers here at St. Luke's through the COVID pandemic and more recently derecho. And Dr. James Coyle is a grief care and community outreach specialist for Cedar Memorial and Iowa Cremation. He's an author, has extensive experience as an educator and public speaker. He's a chaplain for several government agencies, both locally and nationally. Jim is a founding member of the Department of Homeland Security and has been recognized by them for his work during the hurricane crisis in Haiti. Dr. Coyle has recently served as both a first and last responder on the West and East Coast for the COVID-19 pandemic. And he's also a loving husband and father of 5 and the proud grandfather of 2. And I know he also is a proud pet owner and therapy dog owner. So I'm really happy to have both Dr. Coyle and Christy here. And so I'm going to go ahead and pass it off to Christy right now.
Thank you, Carol. I just want to welcome everyone and thank you for joining us this afternoon. I know that there's healthcare providers, there's some counselors and schools here. We have a very diverse group. So I just thank you for taking time to join us and really taking time for yourselves, because as I've gone throughout the hospital and done a lot of debriefings and variety of community presentations over the last 6 or 8 months, there's a lot of common themes that we're experiencing. And I know that as caretakers, we don't often take care of ourselves enough. So, and we all know that 2020 is probably not a year we're going to forget anytime soon. And hopefully we're finished with some of the stressors that are the major ones, but we continue to have COVID and we continue to experience the derecho aftermath and all sorts of different things. So unfortunately, we won't be getting back to any type of normal anytime soon. But with that, I just wanted to talk about 2020 and really reflect on some of the things that we have experienced this year. So if you'll get out a piece of paper and a pen, or just grab something to jot a few things down here. We're going to go through a few questions, and I really want you to take some time, because I know for myself, I spend a lot of time with other people reflecting on these things, but I don't always take time to reflect on these things myself. So I wanted to just give you a few minutes to reflect and really sit with some of these things that we've experienced this year. So first, I want you to make a list of things that you have experienced. So personally, professionally, maybe it's with your children, maybe it's with parents, or maybe it's with transitions at jobs. I know for me, one of the big things that has happened for me is my husband's working from home, so I no longer have a quiet house on a Friday afternoon if I want it. He's always there. So just jot some of those things down. I'll give you a couple of minutes here to just think about those things, because we all know a lot's happened personally and professionally over the last several months. So now as you think about those things, now I want you to look at that list and see if there's a pattern. Do you see a pattern in those things? So are you seeing that there's a lot of change, or there's a lot of loss, trauma, there's some loneliness, fears? What are you seeing in that list of items that you just wrote down? List of events. And just jot that down. And maybe there's more than one feeling. More than one thing, rather. You know, your change, your loss. And then piggybacking on that, I want you to look at that and see, like, what's one or two words describing your feelings? Oftentimes, we don't take enough time to think about our feelings about these things. So we've experienced a lot of change, or we've experienced a lot of loss. But how am I really feeling about that? It is what it is, right? I had a conversation with multiple groups, but I remember in a leadership meeting here, we were talking about some of the things that people are going through, and it was after the derecho. And when we ask people how we are, we often say, I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine, right? But all the while, all these bricks and all these things that you just wrote down are just building and piling one upon another. And we as caretakers often don't feel like we deserve to deal with those things, that we always have to be fine. We always have to be the strong one. And so I want to challenge that a little bit today, that we don't always have to be the strong ones. We can be taken care of sometimes too. And it's okay to not be fine. As Carol Shirt says today, it's not okay, it's okay to not be okay. Okay? Now I want you to write down some of the coping skills you've used, healthy or not so healthy, because we've all probably had both sides of it. So what are some of the coping skills you've used to address those feelings that you just wrote down? And I'm not going to ask anybody to share any of these things. These things are just for your own knowledge and your own reflection as we move forward. And with that, I'm just going to turn it over to Jim so that he can go through some of the stressors and managing some of those stressors that you wrote down. And then we'll reflect on them after he's finished with his piece of the presentation here. You're muted, Jim.
So now I'm gonna have you read my lips now that you can hear me. No, I am so honored to have this opportunity to walk beside you. There are so many out there that I know already. I've had a few of you even send me in the chat line. So I'm excited to be with you guys. We are all under so much trauma and stress with what we're doing. And as Christy said, a lot of times we care so much for others that we oftentimes forget about ourselves. You know, I've had a year like none other, like all of us have. I want to share a little bit of my story with you and then go into some of the coping things that I've had to implement into my life. First of all, I deploy all over the world when there's a traumatic event or circumstance that usually when there's mass fatalities, and I've been doing that for 28 years. So this year, I have had 7 deployments already this year. I spent 58 days in New York City working with decedents and working with really from the mental health perspective, my job was to just really take care of those that are taking care of others. And the trauma and event of just seeing all the decedents, over 20,000. I was on the West Coast in the very beginning when the pandemic hit, when I was at Travis Air Force Base, when the first flight from China came over, and then the Princess Cruise Lines, and you can remember that. So then I was down in Texas, and when I was in Texas, down in the southern border where it was a very hot spot for the pandemic, my wife called me and told me about the derecho and what had taken place with our neighborhood and our home that was beaten up. We have over $200,000 worth of damage to our property, let alone our entire neighborhood that got hit. So I'm in Texas, and when I was in Texas, it's interesting, the last several months of the deployments, I really began focusing more on what we would call force protection. That's taking care of our own. So we have a medical team that we would go in and we would augment hospitals, staff that were just overwhelmed with all of the trauma and just trying to cope with everything that was taking place in the hospitals. So we would augment their staff. Well, I'm the mental health guy and also a chaplain. So as a mental health person, or especially the last 3 months of my deployment, every part of my mission I went on was focused on taking care of our clinicians. That would be you. That would be anybody that was out there. So here I am in Texas taking care of our clinicians, and it's a demanding place. And here's my wife. So I asked her if I needed to come back, and she said, what are you going to do? You know, so I stayed there for the duration, came back, and it was interesting in talking to so many people in the stressors that a lot of us that are on this phone or that are on this Zoom session have experienced, the added stressors. You know, and now, and my gosh, we have another hurricane that's going to hit the Gulf Coast here over the weekend. I actually turned down an 8th deployment to Oregon for the fires because they had mass fatalities there, but I couldn't go because of the personal disaster that I was experiencing. And I'm gonna tell you, in all my years, that was the first time I said no because of my personal situation. So I want us to think about, I'm going to give us tools, and these are tools that I have used. I know Christy had asked, what are some things that you've done to help you? Some are good, some are bad, but there's certain things that we've done. So I want to wrap my arms around you. I'm going to give you 10 tools, and some of them might be pretty basic, but some of them might need to be revisited because of the power that we do have in them. So I want you to think of something. I want you to think of psychological PPE. This has been a hot buzz that I've really been training with and learning and absorbing, because a lot of work that we have done on disaster response, and I can tell you this, out of the 3.5, 4 months that I have been away, not one of our team got sick, of my personal team. That's incredible, because we were in the belly of the pandemic, but we wore PPE. We were very cautious to every part of our being, whether it was full Tyvek or double gloving. Everything that we did was caring for ourselves as we cared for others. So over these next few minutes, I want you to think of psychological PPE. We are mandated to wear masks for protection. And I wish, as a mental health provider myself, I could mandate some psychological PPE to take care of us mentally, to take care of us emotionally, and to take care of us physically, our head, our heart, and our hands. So that's kind of what I want to focus on over these next few minutes. So it's not allowing me to, oh, there we go. Oh, delayed. Okay, here we go. Now, folks, I relate to this. I can't tell you how many times in my world I just feel stuck. And here I am, the mental health provider. But this is a prime example of many times this year that I have just, oh my gosh, this is horrible. How am I going to get out of this? And so I know that I'm on our fire department here in Cedar Rapids as well. So I do traumatic intervention. This was a photo. I was clear back on the fire department in Las Vegas, Nevada, on the Clark County Fire Department. So this was a dog that tried to jump through 2 palm trees. Huh. How many times do we try to jump through things and we just get stuck? And so the tools that I'm going to provide, and hopefully these are things to get us unstuck. There was only one way this dog got out of that mess, and that was the help of others as we rescued. So the first tool, and I'm going to give you 10 of these. If you want to write things down, some of these, again, might sound basic, but they really aren't. During this time, with this outbreak, I know that my wife and I have had to be very authentic with each other. We've had to be transparent. My wife is a counselor at Roosevelt Middle School. She has her doctorate in counseling. So she's doing all this mental health work for a neighborhood that was destroyed. And now, with all the COVID and the derecho, what she has had to do has just been overwhelming. And so we, at night, we talk. And it's very, very important to talk about these things. We need this. We encourage this for the other people that we work with. But how about ourselves? So there are all kinds of resources for you. If you're not as fortunate as I am and have an incredible significant other, there are resources for you to begin to talk. And we implement these for our people that we care for, but it's time to really be authentic. This next tool is new regular routines. Schools aren't the same. Businesses aren't the same. Movie theaters aren't the same. Restaurants aren't the same. Churches aren't the same. And it's not getting any better. I wish I could wave a magic wand and say there's light at the end of the tunnel. It's just it just keeps coming and coming and coming. And so every day there's these added stressors. But we have to somehow, some way, figure out a new routine to rise above this stuff for us personally. I love this quote from Roy Bennett. Instead of worrying about what you can't control, shift your energy to what you can create. Think about that, mental health providers, because I know in my world, and I do grief care full time at Cedar Memorial, and I walk beside people with traumatic life loss and add that to all the things that we're going through, and it's a very difficult time. People can't grieve the same. They can't mourn the same. So we have to learn how to do something different. So instead of concentrating on those things that we can't change, can't control, let's be creative. What can you do? How can you use your energy and your resources to create something new? So my wife and I have done this. I'm going to hit on the Iowa Healthiest State Walk. First October of every Wednesday, you're out to take a walk. Well, one of the things that my wife and I have done is we have now, we walk every night with our dogs. And I just got to tell you, we got a therapy dog. Oh my God, this is unbelievable. And we first thought it was the worst timing. No, we've been on a list for 3 years for a therapy dog, for both what she does with her students and what I do in grief care. So we got a phone call a few weeks ago, right after we're in the middle of a house disaster and blah, blah, blah. This couldn't be worse timing. My wife had to go away for a week to get trained. But here's the silver lining. Today is the first day she took Echo, this beautiful, beautiful therapy dog, to work with her. And this dog is at her school, walking with her. So I can't wait to walk with Echo tonight. New regular routines. We have to do something for ourselves to do that. Exercise. Part of the walking is good. There is so many studies, and I'm not going to beat this because we know this. But here's an incredible thing about exercise. If we do this regularly, the endorphins and the cortisol that release into our body, they become a natural painkiller. That is incredible because so many folks, including myself, I've had three back surgeries, pretty invasive. The exercise helps, and it becomes a natural painkiller. But here's the other thing: it allows us to sleep a little bit more. And all of us know that without the proper rest and without that sleep that we need, we aren't at a full capacity by any means. I've lost a lot of sleep over these last several days. I'm going to do a little sidebar. I told Christy this morning, things always seem to come with curveballs. We wrote a check out for a water mitigation company. The check got stolen. So we got a call from the police department, bottom line, that somebody stole our checks. We put a stop payment on it last month. Everything is fine. Today, I had over $10,000 of checks that were written from a fraud. So this person, or what they did is they took this stolen check through a third party, ordered checks, forged my wife's signature for over $10,000. So guess what I was doing this morning? $10,000. I called Christy at about 11:15. I said, I'm just leaving the bank right now. I think I need to implement a lot of these things that I'm talking about. But these are the things, I mean, my gosh, all of us, we're getting sandblasted with so many things. So this is going to lead me to my favorite exercise that we are going to do together. I want you all to get in a very comfortable position. I'm going to work with you on a breathing exercise. I'm going to have you close your eyes and just have your palms open. Try to get as comfortable as you can. I'm going to lead you through 5 inhales and exhales. And I want you to kind of take notice of how you're feeling right now. So as I lead you and guide you, we're going to take the biggest breath in and we're going to hold it. So let's do this together. Everybody be in a comfortable place. Breathe in as big as you can. Breathe it in. Hold it. Hold it. Hold it. And push it out. All of it. Exhale every bit of it. All right, we're going to do this again 4 more times. Breathe in as much air as you can. Breathe it in. Hold it. Hold it. Hold it. Hold it. Hold it. And release. Push it every out. Breathe in, big time, as much as you can. Hold it. Hold it. Hold it. Hold it. And release. Breathe in, two more. Two more times, all of it. Breathe in. Hold it. Hold it. Hold it. Hold it. And release. Breathe in, one big time. All of the air you can intake. Keep holding, keep holding. 5, 4. And release, push it all out. Now open your eyes. How many of you feel a little lightheaded right now? I bet if you stood up, you might just kind of fall over a little bit. What you have just done by breathing in is you have sent this oxygen to the very capillaries of every hair follicle, to the tips of every finger, all the way to your toes. Because oxygen, when it comes in, it feeds us and it nurtures that bloodstream. And what you have just done is you have, man, you should feel exhilarated a little bit. Now think about how many times in our profession we've had to have somebody just take a deep breath, slow down, take a deep breath. Because the exercises have shown that breathing techniques are wonderful. So we just did that in 1 minute. And I feel incredible. I feel already energized. I love this quote by Eddie Hillison. Sometimes the most important thing in a whole day is the rest taken between 2 deep breaths. So family, this is something that I implement. So we need to find humor. Humor is unbelievable tonic for our mind and our body. It is a great antidote for anxiety. It's a great antidote for depression. And if we can relive or be reunited with memories or things that have worked for us, it really helps. So I got to tell you about a recent story. I got a buddy of mine that I went to junior high school with. And well, actually, we went to elementary, junior high, and high school. We lived up on the same street. I haven't seen him since high school. He came to Iowa. Why would he come to Iowa? Well, he did. He came to Iowa. And I got to visit with him. So we went down into my basement, which is no longer right now. It's under construction. But we went down in there in my little man cave. And we began to talk. And my friend, his name's Dan, and I love Dan. So here's the difference. I'm 63 years old now, and I'm having a very difficult time remembering names. Oh my gosh, it comes to me. I mean, it's very, very hard to recall. He's the other way around. He remembers names, but he can't remember events. So let me tell you what we did for 2 hours. We relived all these crazy things that we did. I have never laughed so hard. And even to this day, that has helped carry me on. So that is so critically important. Oh my gosh, you talk about mental health. A good laugh will bring it in there. So find humor, turn it in there. This next thing is it's what we're doing here today. Spend virtual time with your friends and family. I'm going to tell you, this has been a difficult year for me. I never, ever want to experience another year like this. And I know I'm speaking for every one of you. This is the first year that I have not been able to see my grandkids. I was deployed for almost 4 months. All my vacation time is gone. All my time. And I couldn't get to see my kids over the summer. It just breaks my heart. So I've got these 2 precious grandkids. But what we've been able to do that helps a little bit is we FaceTime. I had a birthday on Monday, and they sang happy birthday to me, and it was so awesome. But here's another situation. I've been in 3 different intensive care units with people that have invited me in either on FaceTime or on a social media to be with them while they had the very difficult decision of unplugging a life support system, to be with them. Our times right now virtually, when we are doing funerals or when I'm meeting families, I've done grief care, and so I think some of you have had to do this too. Maybe you've done virtual counseling. Those are important. So they're tough times. And I'm so grateful that we can do this on this Zoom format today. I know I teach at Kirkwood Community College, and ever since February, we've gone to a Zoom format. And just for us to do this today is incredible. So I love this, and this is something that I've implemented into my life. To do a virtual act of kindness, this is something out of the ordinary. Whether it is calling somebody at a adult care facility, maybe calling the executive director or a nurse or somebody and say, hey, I'm thinking about you and I just wanted to let you know I appreciate you. Or calling a favorite restaurant, maybe that you haven't been able to go to because of some of the restraints. Hey, I miss your food. It is essential. I appreciate you. My wife and I went to Texas Roadhouse on Monday night. It was so good. And I purposely pulled the manager aside and I talked to him about our waitress. And he said, you know how seldom people they always have complaints, especially during these times. But to hear something so powerful, we can do this every day. Implement something into your life, into your schedule, that's going to make a difference for somebody else. A phone call, an email, a social media post, a mailing card, anything that you can do. I love this quote, and let this get into your head and into your heart. Unexpected kindness is the most powerful, least costly, and most underrated agent of human change. Oh, all right. Here's another one I do. Light a candle or essential oils. At my desk, I have essential oils. I love aromatherapy. And every day, and I use lavender, and I've got eucalyptic. I've got 4, maybe even now 5 different drops that I can put in to my essential oil. Well, the studies have shown that aromatherapy has a lot of interaction on stressors and anxieties. And I could tell you for a fact that it really helps me when I'm making my grief care phone calls every day, and I've got my aromatherapy right here, and it's coming. I keep it right here, and I'm engaging in some of the most difficult phone conversations because you and I both, the reason we're good at what we do is because we can feel. We have such empathetic skills that we can get into anybody's situation and care for them. That's why you're on this webinar today, because of that goal and that power that you have within you. So here's a quote from Robert Tishman. Aromatherapy is caring, hands-on therapy, which seeks to induce relaxation, to increase energy, to reduce the effects of stress, and to restore lost balance to mind, body, and soul. And Christy, I've been in your office, and you know the aromatherapy is just huge for anything that we can do to engage. So maintain a positive attitude. Holy buckets! I just said holy buckets because we've had garbage cans and buckets that have been taking water in for the last 6 weeks, and we just got a roof on 3 days ago. Put a roof! We have a roof! Yes! We have a roof! So making a positive attitude. So for every negative thought, replace it with 3 positive ones. I use this in coaching people, especially that have had a traumatic life loss. What are 3 positive things? So do this for yourself. I implement this every time something comes on. I didn't do that with the check balance or the $10,000 deficit in my account yet. But now, as soon as I'm done with this, I'm going to come up with 3 positive thoughts as a result of that, because it just helps. So we can put the brakes on negativity and nurture it. There's something good. So here's 3 things to incorporate into your daily living. Now, really grasp this. If you can write this down, write it down. Turn an obligation into an opportunity. That is a mental health shift. Turn an obligation into an opportunity. And if you can make that transfer, it just opens up things differently. Be grateful, be thankful for everything, and help someone. If you incorporate those 3 tools into your life, turning an obligation into an opportunity, being grateful and thankful, and helping someone, well, helping someone, we all do that anyway. But if you can incorporate these, I'm going to tell you what, your world will change. Your world will change. So make those things happen. I love this quote. Cultivate an optimistic mind. Use your imagination. Always consider alternatives. Dare to believe that you can make possible what others think is impossible. Dare to believe it. So this is my last 10th tool for you. I love this. For me personally, some people like to journal. If you write things, a lot of people do journal, a lot of people don't. That's one thing that we as mental health providers, that's a tool that we offer. But here's something for me, is to listen to music. I gotta tell you this, in the midst of our master bedroom, all the carpet is up, the ceiling is down, the walls are bare, there's insulation is out, and we're waiting because when the water comes down, we still have enough room for a bed. We have a pretty big master bedroom. We have enough room for our bed. And I'm so grateful that the water that was coming through the ceiling was on my wife's side of the bed. I'm very grateful for that. No, I'm just kidding. But you know what my wife and I did? Oh, I love my wife. We turn on some music and we love to dance. We don't get to do that a whole lot. But I went into our master bedroom in the midst of this disaster. And I wish I would have videotaped it, because on the other side of us was garbage cans, ice coolers, and buckets that were full of water. And we were embracing on wooden, they were not wooden, the plyboard floors, as we just held each other and danced. Oh, music is an incredible thing. I know that faster music can make you feel alert, allows you to concentrate. Upbeat music makes you feel more optimistic, more positive. Slower tempo can quiet your mind or relax your muscles. It can make you feel soothed. But music is so effective for relaxation and stress management. Use this quote, use it, from Berhold Arbach. Music washes away from the soul the dust of everyday life. So as I kind of conclude, and I'm hoping we can chat for a little bit. Martin Luther King had this quote: "If you can't fly, then run. If you can't run, walk. If you can't walk, then crawl. But whatever you do, you have to keep moving forward. Never give up." You see that little helmet on that mouse? That is what I call a psychological PPE, baby. That is it. Because we have to have that. So don't ever give up. I'll never forget the conversations that I had with a lot of friends and family. When I got back from the derecho and I got off the plane and I rode up my street and looked at the devastation. I live in Stony Point. It doesn't matter. All lots of neighborhoods got hit. with the trees destruction. And then when I pulled into my driveway and saw my neighbor's roof that had blown off into our roof, it's just been horrible. It was a horrible, horrible thing. And here's the positive that came back. I don't know how many days Cedar Rapids didn't have electricity. I'm thinking maybe 3 or 4 days where the city was dark. I don't know. But I probably had a dozen people tell me, you know what, Jim? I've never seen stars like I've seen during those nights when it was completely black. When life knocks you down, roll over, look at the stars. I just want to plug something for you mental health providers. Every year, and I know some of you have already attended these, but every year we have an event called Hospice. And this is through Cedar Memorial, Iowa Cremation. Dr. Alan Wolfelt will be coming back. He's written so many books. I don't know if you've heard of him. He's been a tremendous asset for walking through people through difficult times. Even I got a recent book about disasters. How to recover from disasters. It was really good. So anyway, he's coming. And I just wanted to say, if these are CEUs for you, if you want to register as a mental health provider, you can do that. Well, the CEUs are free. So we have 2 days, October 21st here in Cedar Rapids, and then on the 22nd in Des Moines. So I just want to take this opportunity just to thank you now. And as you could see, I'm so grateful for you guys. I'm so grateful for Christy, because not only have Christy and I done a lot of trainings together and celebrated together, but I've used Christy because even though my wife, sometimes she's too close. We know that as mental health providers. Sometimes you're too close to the other person. And so I've had a chance to call Christy. Hey, Christy, I feel like that dog in the tree. Can you just help me for a second? And she has just been a wonderful asset, another colleague in the profession. And I thank you for that, my friend Christy. And for all of you, I'm just meeting some great people through so many ways to help with our mental health care. And I'm very appreciative. So I have another acronym that I'm going to leave with you. It's called WAIT. You got to love this one. Write this down. WAIT. W-A-I-T. I'm going to give you a second to write it down. Because as a healthcare provider, mental health care provider, this is critical. WAIT. Why am I talking? Why am I talking? So let's just open this up and be able to share your coping skills, or maybe some of the emotions or feelings that have gotten you stuck a little bit. But I know we have an incredible resource even here. But let's talk about this as a group. I know we have a little bit of time, so yay. I'm done. Wait, why am I talking?
Jim, I just want to say thank you so much, because I know even for myself, a lot of those, or all of those, coping skills that you just went over and all those reminders that you gave us are all things I provide with my clients with, right? And I'm very quick to give them to other people. But this was really a great time for myself even to sit back and reflect on, oh, what do I do? What have I let go of in the last few months as I've been trying to take care of others, and have kind of stopped taking care of myself. So I don't know, I'm pretty sure that most of us, whether we're in a mental health setting, a hospital setting, a school setting, wherever we are, or, we're at home taking care of our family. I'm sure that many of us have we look at these and think they are so simple and they're pretty basic, but at the same time, how many of us have let them go as well? So thank you for that reminder.
So for both of you, there's a question in the chat box that I'd pose to you guys. In talking with some mental health providers after the derecho, they described a sense of guilt for not being able to help others to the level that they were used to, because they were dealing with a lot of their own personal issues and, you know, their own storm damage. What are some strategies to help in dealing with that sense of guilt?
I think I've had this conversation with a lot of people because being in the healthcare environment, people are here at the hospital taking care of patients, they're helping people in the mental health world, whatever it is. And for me, it's just been reminding people that sometimes we can't be the end all be all to everybody. And we have to take a step back and look at how are we helping people day in and day out in our job. Because like for me, I help people day in and day out at my job. My husband, on the other hand, you know, he sits behind a computer all day. So him, you know, reaching out and doing things looked a little bit different than what I could do. So he could go help people cut down trees. I was here at work, you know, helping people with their mental health or helping facilitate different conversations. So I would say just kind of take a step back and look at like, what have you done? Because again, you've been doing things, you have been, you know, helping people. It just may not look the same as what the next person has been helping.
Yeah, and Chrissy, I'll add to that because this is something that I've had to do. I can't tell you, I felt so guilty that I had to turn down a deployment because I was in the middle of a personal disaster. I felt so guilty for not being available and attentive to others because of my disaster. So here's what I've had to do. I've had to initially put on a game face. I go to work, and the thing that I talked about was my acts of kindness. OMG. Acts of kindness have really allowed me to separate my stuff and be able to look at others, you know, and being so grateful. So the things that I've talked about are things that I have just, in order to survive, have had to implement into my own life.
Thanks. And part of it's about giving yourself a little bit of grace too, right? And, you know, we really are all in this together. And so give yourself a little bit of opportunity to take care of yourself. It's kind of like the parent on the airplane, right? You always put the oxygen on yourself first. So you have, in order to really be able to take care of other people, you have to take care of yourself first. I'm not seeing any other specific questions in here. Lots of kudos and thanks for you guys for the presentation. And I think I'd like to put in one more plug for the next 2 midweek sessions that we'll be hosting here through Make It Okay. And the next one, as I said earlier, is on October 28th from noon to 1. And then we'll have one on November 18th. The first one, Stop the Silence, Stop the Stigma. And the next one is Medical and Spiritual First Aid. And then, of course, be watching for a bigger kickoff event in January 2021. I know we're all anxious to get to January 2021, so I'll certainly be looking forward to that as well. If anybody, I'm not seeing any other questions, but if you have some, feel free to throw them in there. Or Christy or Jim, do you have any closing thoughts?
Yeah, you know what? I just want you guys to take an opportunity tonight to get out and walk. It is the first Wednesday of October, and I can't wait to do this. And Jamie, I thank you for being so, for Iowa Healthiest State, the initiative of allowing this to come forward. So there are things that we can do. Let's do them. Thanks, Jamie.
I think I just, you know, I was sitting here reflecting a little bit personally, and one of the things that I have really been missing since this whole COVID stuff and separation, and then in the derecho, the building that I was in got condemned, so it's coming down, and my office had to move to the middle of the hospital. And I think I realize more now how much I really do need people to bounce things off of, to just kind of have that morning coffee talk, have lunch with, whatever. And I had it still when I was in the other building, despite the derecho, but now, you know, I'm here, a team of one, kind of by myself. So I think there's many of us that are working from home. Our teams don't look the same, and we're having to be a little bit more purposeful about making those connections. So if I can encourage anybody, please make sure you're continuing to make those connections. You're still, you know, being purposeful about, I know we can't give hugs and we still have to wear our masks and all those fun things, but people are feeling lonely. And so just make sure that even as healthcare providers that you're aware of where your feelings are too. Because yes, we connect with people day in and day out. I do these types of things. I meet with individual patients or clients one-on-one, you know, virtually of course, but it's still not the same as connecting with my coworkers. So just make sure that you're taking that time to be purposeful about connecting with colleagues and other community partners that you can just bounce things off of and even decompress at the end of the day.
Excellent. Thank you, guys. I want to extend another thank you to both Christy and Jim. The information you shared is so valuable for all of us. And one more thank you to all of the mental health professionals who got on this call. Thank you for the work you do every day. And thank you for taking an hour out of your busy schedules to focus on you. So I really appreciate it. And I look forward to hopefully virtually seeing you on the next sessions that we do here. So, and also another shout out to Jamie with the Healthiest State and helping us host this event. So thank you.
Thanks.